Hi everybody, this is Storyline 360, and instead of going over the overviews and benefits like I did in Storyline 2, I want to go ahead and kind of jump into this one and get into some more of the features that were touched on in Storyline 2. This is the newest version of the Articulate e-learning authorware. This is the 360 Enterprise Edition. First of all, it's a web-based application, so you use a user login and sign in. That's how they're validating codes. Really pretty slick system, but the one thing is that they do require a connect to internet version. There is an offline capability that does have some limitations, so keep that in mind as you're looking for solutions in your e-learning authorware products. So this one, as you notice, we don't have the tutorials that are here that were mentioned in the Storyline 2, but it does give you some of the content templates that you can use to go ahead and start. So if you're new to the game, this is a great place to start. Great place to look to see what's new. This is going to reach you out to your forum. This area, this communication will serve out to your templates, photos, other characteristic stock. So you do not need to have a repository of images. You do not need to go out and invest in additional assets if you're just learning the tool. Articulate has done a great job of giving these to you, and then of course there is the feedback tool in terms of capability. So I want to dive in and take a look at a new project. And the best way, and again, I just want to show you some of the basic features you're going to use. Again, this looks exactly like the Storyline 2 demo that I got into. The first thing you want to do is you'll want to create a background. Unless you're using a template, everything is going to look like a blank PowerPoint slide. So if you want to create a background, you can do that. And I know I have some images of Hurricane Irma, that I was a part of when it came through Florida, and I want to go ahead and let's do a module on that, or I just want to do something that's very brief on that, and I'll show you how this looks. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a background. And the best way to do this is, so my objective will be, I'm going to describe the events of Irma on the local community that I live in. So we can make that and turn that into an e-learning module if you want, just for information purposes sake. So the insert aspect goes into your different areas that you can insert here. Again, I'm only going to cover some basic stuff here. I really urge you to look at tutorials on YouTube or other resources on the Articulate community site to really leverage specific things you want to look into. I just want to kind of go into the development and the design side of this. So from here, I'm going to go into the pictures, and I'm going to pull from my downloads that I know I have my pictures at, and I'll go ahead and just pull in one of these here. So if we go with right here, and if we want to go with, this is a flood or a title slide, we can do that. Some other basic design things I think that are really neat that people don't use are the shape features. So if we go into the insert and we go into the shapes, you can go ahead and drop a block in up here. You can cover it over this way. Again, title this any way that you want. So if I want to kind of get something that's matched here, I can change the scope of this with the format, the shape. I can change the color. You also have the ability to do a swatch if you want to match something that's here. So say I want to match this specifically something that's on the slide. I'm going to go ahead and add that in. You can look at your line color. You can choose no line color so there is a seamless match. Again, it's easy to play with. If you've used PowerPoint, you'll notice here that this is so similar to it. So if we want to capture this from an image perspective or a content perspective or what the user interaction would be, you can use the high-low text box, you could use a shape, you could use any of the balloon characters. Again, if you look at the shapes that are here, you'll notice that this is the exact same setup that you have from PowerPoint. So if we're looking to call out something specific, saying, boy, look at the sign that's on the ground here, I can go ahead, drop this in here, and if I want to change the color of this to something that's red to make the attention draw out, I can go ahead and format my shape. I'll go to my fill color, and I'll make this a red to make it more noticeable. You can use your text that's within the shape tool. You can also input information from a text box. Again, whatever you want to use that's in here. So just a basic slide that's here, again, just a content slide that's here. If I wanted to add some interaction to this, I could use something from the insert aspect that uses a hover over. If I wanted to put a button there, I could use something that's more of the marker, and what's nice about markers are these other tools. So say that sign has information related to it. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in here, and you'll see here that it's got its own field. So what's nice here when the user hovers over this, you can say click here for more information. And then you have all of this room here to add your description, and you want to make sure you want to marginalize that as best you can for the sake of what's here. So when a user clicks on this or they see this button that's here, they'll have a chance to see what's there. So from a preview, this slide perspective, it's going to go ahead and generate it. Again, this is just one of the really simple interactions that you can use. So if I click on this guy here, look, click here for information, and as soon as I click here, it'll expand it out, and you'll be able to see what's here. So if you want to draw things specifically related to anything that's on the screen that you want to point out, you can do that, and that's what's nice about it, is it just hovers over it. Other things within the skin that are here, I mean, you have so many options to consider when you're looking at using a Storyline product. It's really cool from an e-learning perspective. It's a great tool that I do consider you to expanding on using. Lots of resources that are here. I do encourage you to consider using audio, and by doing that you can do a couple of things here. So let me record straight into audio. So if we're going to go insert and we're going to go audio, we have two different options. We can use an MP3 or WAV file that is already created. You can use the file editors that were talked about in Module 6 as options to record your audio from a script perspective, and then isolate those and create individual files that are going to be applicable to each slide on the module. So if I wanted to do that and I create those, I'm just going to pull an MP3 file that's from here, and we'll just call this Doug, and we'll stick that in here. So you'll notice here that your audio is going to be down here at the bottom of the time frame. So it's right here. It's across your navigation bar. So all of your timeline is extended out to match the duration of the audio. So here it's telling me that this slide now is 95 seconds. And it's going to take the user 95 seconds in order to be able to advance to the next slide, or at least to hear it consistently before you complete the content that's on this slide. And there's things you can do on the timeline. You can, as soon as you start talking about certain things, say at 62 seconds, I talk about a specific image, then you could bring that image in and you can reference it there as long as it's being talked about. You can have it drop out. It's a typical timeline, but if you haven't worked in here before, it's going to take you a little bit to getting used to in terms of just creating that user experience. Those of you that are more advanced in the author tool programs, I'm sure you've done a lot of these things that are there. I'm sure you have very specific rules that you follow. I do encourage you to share best practices in the collaboration forum that I had mentioned earlier. Just some things to consider, because there's a lot that we can do. I mean, we could talk for weeks and weeks and weeks on these tools, but I wanted to show you a little bit more about the 360 Storyline. This is the newest version that's out there. I haven't dove into this too much about what's the difference between it and Storyline 2, other than now it's just a package bundle that people get to review with other features. And that next one that we're going to look at in the next video is Articulate Rise, and that's a brand new product from this company. So I'll get into that next. But have some fun with it, download it. This one's a little bit more of an investment. So that's why I encourage you to start with Storyline 2, download the free trial, and you can always buy a copy of it, since it's going to be a discontinued product real soon. If it isn't already, you can buy copies on Amazon or eBay or something that's a valid and pay really about a quarter of the price for it that's there. So there's lots of capability, there's lots of fun with this one. So I hope you enjoy it, and again, just look at some of the basic stuff that's here. Authorware is a great concept to get into as an instructional designer and developer, and it's something, frankly, that every job calls for. So I really encourage you to get into these tools. Thanks, everybody.